Hey guys, it's Thomas. In this video I'm going to introduce the various yokai in Ghostwire Tokyo, and give a bit of background on them and their lore. It's important to note that I am focusing strictly on the passive yokai and not the visitors, which is the name of the enemies in this game. We've got a classic yokai up first. Many of you have seen this one appear in Japanese media in one form or the other, though the one you probably saw is called the Dai Tengu, or Great Tengu. You likely got stomped by this guy in a boss fight in Dead or Alive, or seen a Pokemon inspired by him. The fellow you are thinking of isn't in this game, however. What we have is the Ko Tengu, or Lesser Tengu. Their folklore is much older, but more brutal than that of the Dai Tengu, as they were known to actively attack, kidnap, and eat humans, among other despicable acts. The Ko Tengu of lore were overconfident in their intelligence, and there are numerous tales telling of how one was duped by a human while attempting to fool them. We are at considerably less risk in Ghostwire Tokyo, though, as these troublemakers are demoted to simple grapple anchors to help you get onto Tokyo's rooftops. Another relatively popular yokai you meet is the Tanuki. Although this little guy isn't a myth, as the Tanuki is an actual animal that still lives in Japan, it does have folklore that imparts it a more mythical status. The magical Tanuki is often referred to as a Bakedanuki, and it is well known for being able to transform into anything, living or inanimate, and also for its huge testicles. Although the Tanuki is known for other things such as belly drumming, drinking sake, and being generally comedic, its plums are what many people remember, and rightly so, as they symbolize financial luck and are thus lovingly depicted on Tanuki statues featuring sizable swingers. Though the Tanuki's marbles may be a large part of its identity, some of the family-friendly interpretations you may know it from omit the creature's nadgers, such as a power-up from Super Mario Bros. 3, or Tom Nook in the Animal Crossing series, all lacking gonads. Sadly, no tackle is visible on the Tanuki in Ghostwire Tokyo either, as they take the form of the living animal you'd see in the wild, except disguised as various objects that you have to find around the map and send back to their boss, who asked you to do so in the first place. The Kodama is a tree spirit that inhabits particularly long-lived trees, sometimes denoted with a Shinto rope called a shimenawa tied around it. The Kodama in Ghostwire Tokyo follows this suggestion, as you will interact with and protect it at just such a tree, though clearly ravaged by time and, from the looks of it, lightning. The reason you can still find Kodama-inhabited trees in the middle of Tokyo likely stems from the belief that misfortune befalls any who cut one down, leading to a woodcutter practice of making a small cut in a tree to see if it bleeds, a telltale sign that a Kodama inhabits it. Conversely, anyone who respects or protects such a tree may receive blessings from the Kodama, so it's no wonder they have been kept around even in the midst of the Tokyo metropolis. Possibly the most famous Kodama in media would be the tiny little bobbleheads in the Ghibli film Princess Mononoke, though concrete lore on the little yokai is lacking overall. Our next yokai is a tiny bit complicated, as it is arguable whether they are a yokai at all, being that they are actually human. The story here is that some people, famously young women, will have their heads wander the streets at night while they sleep. The head remains attached, but at the ends of an impossibly and structurally unsound long neck. Being able to do this is said to be the effects of a curse or condition, and, indeed, the afflicted person may not even be aware of the hijinks their noggin gets up to at night. Also, unfairly, while the curse can be the result of some sin the victim has committed, it could also be inflicted due to the sins of others, usually her father or husband. While the Rokurokubi isn't nearly as famous as some previous yokai, they do appear in media if you know where to look, such as Hell Teacher Nube, Yokai Watch, or as an enemy in the Neo Dragon of the North DLC. One of the cuter yokai you can run across, the Zashiki-Warashi, usually takes the form of a little girl around 5 or 6, that inhabits a house and can only be seen by children or the homeowner. The spirit may play pranks, such as flipping pillows or making the noise of playing children in unoccupied rooms at night. But the child is mostly harmless, provided it stays in the house. This is very important, as a Zashiki-Warashi leaving your home is said to bring great misfortune, and could therefore tank your finances, cause the house to burn down, or kill the residents via food poisoning. On the flip side, should you use toys and snacks, particularly shio senbei, to convince the child to stay, you and your household will enjoy good fortune. Examples of Zashiki-Warashi are many, though not always mainstream, but a few examples can be found in Holic, Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei, kinda, or the little innkeeper in Yuragiso no Yunasan. What's small, turtle-like, loves cucumbers, and might pull your soul out of your butthole? Anyone with even a passing knowledge of Japanese mythology will be rolling their eyes at the obviousness of that question, and many more will know of the Kappa from some form of Japanese media. Me? I remember it being referenced in 1993's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 on VHS. Yeah, I'm that guy. This particular yokai may be the size of a child, but is stronger than a grown man, has 3 anuses, its arms are connected together inside its shell, and it has a dish of water on its head that could lead to the Kappa's death if it ever goes dry. They do occasionally exhibit more bestial behavior, however, such as drowning humans and animals, eating people, kidnapping children, and trying to reach inside a person's anus to rip out their shirikodama, which is a fleshy organ said to contain a person's soul. Ever the enigma, the Kappa can just as easily befriend lonely children, irrigate fields, and display their loyalty by being completely incapable of breaching etiquette and ignoring a bow given to them. If by chance you missed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 because it's on VHS, or you're a fetus, you may have seen Kappa at least referenced in any number of Japanese media, from Animal Crossing to Natsumi Yuchinjo, and of course, Pokemon. The Kamaitachi, literally sickle weasel, is pretty much what its name describes. It's a weasel with razor-sharp sickles for claws, though additionally it can fly, bark like a dog, has stiff spiny fur like a hedgehog, and moves so swiftly that it cannot be seen. Folklore says that the Kamaitachi is fond of water and that you can encounter it after the rain, playing in puddles or while crossing a river. Tales of people who come across Kamaitachi usually mention that they arrive with a gust of wind, leaving cuts that neither bleed nor hurt, although the injuries could turn fatal later on if not treated. An interesting preventative measure against being slashed by a Kamaitachi is to carry around an old calendar in your hand, or, if it is too late, burning that same old calendar black and smearing it on the wound. While you can find a few references to the Kamaitachi in various anime, the real goldmine is video games with a long list of creatures, such as Pokemon, Shin Megami Tensei, Okami, and Yokai Watch. Our next yokai, the Nurikabe, sounds like a made-up excuse an employee may have used when he was late for work one day. An invisible wall-like yokai that extends infinitely in every direction and cannot be pushed over. This creature exists simply to impede or redirect travelers. A nice harmless creature, if a little annoying, one can bypass this troublemaker simply by tapping the bottom left part of its wall-like body with a stick, causing it to vanish. Though it may fall into the more obscure half of our yokai list, it has nevertheless inspired a set of characters quite a lot of us have seen, the Thwomp family of enemies in the Super Mario Bros. Games. Where would this list be without a cat yokai of some description, and luckily Ghostwire Tokyo delivers. Nekomata in-game are friendly, or at least neutral, cats with 2 tails, and the ability to float and communicate with humans. They act as shopkeepers, selling you supplies at konbinis, as well as giving you a large number of collectible quests to complete for money. This depiction doesn't seem all that accurate from a folklore perspective, however, as they are seen to be mainly malevolent, and the previously listed abilities can also include creating fire, necromancy, shape-shifting, and eating humans. As a living cat reaches old age, its tail may split into two, and then the cat transforms into a Nekomata, with more powerful ones resulting from an older and more abused cat. The Nekomata is referenced in so many countless anime, games, manga, and other media, it's almost pointless to list. Any cat-themed character, such as a cat girl or cat-like mascot character, that isn't a simple pet cat has the potential to be or to be inspired by the Nekomata, and especially if there is a folklore or yokai theme. Specific well-known Nekomata include Black Hanekawa from Bakemonogatari, or Akayu from Hololive. I mean, her surname is Nekomata, for crying out loud. We've got another popular one here. The Oni in folklore is a large, muscular, ogre-like humanoid with horns. Its skin is usually red or blue, and it typically wears a tiger skin loincloth and wields a spiked iron club called a kanabo. Traditionally evil, occasionally neutral, and rarely good, Oni are servants of Enma-Daio in Buddhist hell, tasked with torturing the souls of the wicked or leaving hell to punish evil humans that yet live. Though media is awash in Oni characters, not all of them will match the standard description I've just given, especially if they are female. Isn't that right, Fate fans? Apart from that, Oni appear as numerous characters in everything from anime, such as Demon Slayer and Dragon Ball, to games, such as Guild Wars or Dead by Daylight, and references to them is even more widespread. The last two yokai are part of a group called Tsukumogami, which I'm using as a category in this video. Tsukumogami are inanimate objects that have gained sentience, kind of like the toys in Toy Story, but this occurs specifically after 100 years. Rather than mass-produced plastic children's toys, Tsukumogami tend to take the form of traditional Japanese home items, such as kimono, kettles, sandals, shoji, and any number of instruments. Unlike Woody and Buzz, however, Tsukumogami aren't always friendly, sometimes dangerous, and they don't stop moving when humans can see them. The origin of Tsukumogami is in the Shinto belief that all objects have a spirit, and, after the 100 years required for an object to transform into a yokai, whether the item was mistreated or disposed of may determine whether the resulting yokai is friendly or vengeful. This fella takes the form of a living Chinese-style oiled paper umbrella, though with a face and one or more limbs. This umbrella yokai is more or less harmless, and the only risk you are likely to suffer is a big sloppy lick from the creature's long tongue, should it sneak up on you. The Karakasa-Kozo can usually be found hopping around houses on its 1 foot after dark. This yokai is also strangely well known, considering no stories by eyewitnesses are known, and folk tales don't accompany any literature you do find about them. Though you can find references to Karakasa-Kozo in the usual suspects of Toho, Yokai Watch, Neo, etc., there is a named umbrella person in Rosario Vampire, and the eye patch wearing Yagyu from Senran Kagura 2 can wield one as a weapon. Literally one bolt of cotton, the Ittan-Momen is a large bolt of cloth, used for making clothing that has reached 100 years of age and become sentient. They are said to fly around in the evening and can be considered malicious as they attack people they encounter. They do this basically by wrapping around a person's neck and trying to choke them out, or wrapping around the face, covering the nose and mouth to suffocate them. Unlike many of the previous yokai, which belong to the world of history and whose sightings have tapered off as smartphones and cheap cameras have become ubiquitous, the Ittan-Momen is still sighted or captured in image or video form to this day. Another somewhat obscure yokai, being just one of countless Tsukumogami, the Ittan-Momen is nonetheless reasonably famous. This is widely thought to be thanks to Mizuki Shigeru's manga Gegege no Kitaro, whose description of an Ittan-Momen character seems to be the one that everyone recognizes, even in more recent depictions such as Kyoko Suiri. The Hyakki-Yako, or Night Parade of 100 Demons, is well named in appearance, a literal procession of ghostly yokai, Tsukumogami, spirits, and demons of various types down Japanese streets. It is said to occur on warm summer nights, and upon encountering it, or looking out of the window at it, humans will perish or be spirited away. To avoid this, you must either possess an exorcism scroll handwritten by an onmyoji, or chant a particular magic spell, which I can't be bothered to say out loud here, so I'll just put it on screen instead. In-game, the parade doesn't contain any yokai, but the game's enemies, and if you approach the procession, or stand in its route, a black hole will open up and send you to a small otherworldly dimension where you will have to fight through waves of enemies in order to return to Tokyo. The Hyakki-Yako that comes to my mind would be quite an important scene in the Holic anime, though again, the usual suspects refer to it, namely Toho and Yokai Watch, as well as being featured or hinted at in the movies Palm Poko and Spirited Away. Alright guys, that was all the yokai I could think of that weren't enemies. Do tell me if you think I missed any. As you could probably tell from how scuffed this video was, it's my first, and any suggestions or tips are welcome. I can only improve, am I right? I won't go through the whole like, subscribe thing, you all know how YouTube works, but I'd clearly appreciate it. That's it for now, ta-ta.